Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, somewhere in here there's a "I'm not locked in here with you" joke. Crystal power is down? I'll be right over, ma'am. When turning it off and back on does not work. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Somewhere in here there's a "I'm not locked in here with you" joke. Some background will probably help. I managed a tech support team. However, the product we offer support to doesn't actually belong to our company. So my team mainly acts as a Tier 1/Tier 2, answering questions we know the answers to and opening tickets with vendors Tier 3 when we know something isn't working. Because of that, we don't have real administrator access to our machines. Not in the way that desktop support would have. Justification had always been that my team doesn't need it, and they keep admin/super user access restricted on that criteria. To make it so we can get our work done, we have many home brew tools and scripts that we run. There's a formal company policy for user solutions, we follow it to the T, but our software is our own. MIS does not support it because MIS didn't build it. We do a lot with databases. As an entire department, not just my team, for one reason or another you're going into an Access database multiple times a day. Several years ago we noticed a bunch of challenges with that approach. Namely that, let's say, less technically inclined employees had a history of causing havoc when unleashed into the database. They'd treat it like a spreadsheet. Accidentally delete data. Move stuff around. It was a whole mess. Couple that with some of these users needed somewhat sophisticated queries built. And trying to teach them SQL was an exercise in futility. So what was decided is we would not provide most employees with Access itself. Instead, we can use ActiveX controls to connect to an Access file, and provided you had the right DLLs installed, you could query the database with a web front end. Zero chance of someone messing up the data because they had no way to do so. You put your parameters in the web front end, and the web page crafted the SQL query for you and displayed the results on the page. With that background done, actually worked great as a solution. Then one day things stopped working. Investigating, I found out that it was because our office had updated, so we now had 64-bit DLLs. And i.e., the only browser we have with ActiveX was 32-bit. So I reach out to the help desk, who actually have admin rights to the desktop environments, to help. They insist that we have a 64-bit IE, and I just need to use that. So I show them it doesn't work. Then, the ticket escalates. The next tier tells me I need to talk to whoever wrote the software. I told them that's me, there's nothing wrong with the code, it's the environment, and I can't make changes to the environment. They basically argued with me again and again that the code is bad. Finally, I get them to set up a test VM with just 32-bit Office. And it totally works. Further, the 32-bit Office works with what's supposed to be the 64-bit IE, proving that what we were saying is 64-bit clearly isn't. So the ticket escalates one last time, and things get honestly contentious. The support people don't feel like they should have to help me, that, again, something is clearly wrong with the script. In response, I make the most minimal implementation possible. Just enough code to connect to a database and output the user agent to the console, not a reliable way of telling if it's 32-bit or not, but better than nothing. Excluding the JS library that was doing all the heavy lifting. I had like 4 lines of code in the sample script. The next call we get on, there's about 7 desktop support people. I show them this new script. Show them it doesn't work with 64-bit Office. I ask them to test it on a VM with 32-bit Office, and as the arguments start up, I tell them for the last time, it's not the code, it's the environment. Some loudmouth guy, who I don't recognize for any previous meeting, starts to browbeat me about how I'm wasting everyone's time. This is ridiculous. Who owns this code? Me, these 4 lines of JavaScript here? I just wrote them to show that the problem, our 64-bit IE is not 64-bit. That's not JavaScript, it's XML, you don't know what you're talking about. Me, it absolutely is JavaScript. There's one ActiveX control being called, it doesn't do much but it is JavaScript. It's XML. What MIS owns this? This is a waste of my time. Me, no MIS owns these 4 lines. No MIS owns our code because we build in department. If you don't want to be here, I don't need this fixed. All you have to do is give me something in writing explaining we don't support 64-bit IE, and I can take it to my manager, and we can write up a demand letter. We do have 64-bit IE. Me, we don't, because it can't work with these 64-bit DLLs. Only the 32-bit. Watch, set up a VM with 32-bit Office, and it will work. Why do we have to do that? Why aren't you setting up a VM? Me, because desktop support won't grant me or my team admin access. I can't install or uninstall software or set up VMs. Anyone in MIS should have admin rights. Me, I'm not in MIS. So why are you writing software? Me, because there's a risk policy that allows us to do so, and all of our controls are in place. If you don't like that policy, take it up with risk. I'm not asking you to troubleshoot my code, I'm asking you to troubleshoot Internet Explorer, and that's 100% you guys. Fine, someone on the call set up a VM. And someone does, and lo and behold, it runs fine in 32-bit Office and 32-bit IE. I then again tell them to try it with 32-bit Office and 64-bit IE, loudmouth objects, says it won't work, and it runs fine with 32-bit Office and 64-bit IE. At that point, LM stayed quiet for the rest of the meeting. Finally setting up a call with Microsoft, the vendor confirmed. Yep. That's not 64-bit IE. We don't know what your company did, but those are two 32-bit IEs. And when Microsoft broke down their suggestions, desktop support decided to formally declare that 64-bit IE will not be available or supported. Granted, IE is now dead, but we had something like 18 months to get to another solution, and instead we suddenly found ourselves in the lurch. I wrote LM's manager about how unprofessional he was, and if anyone on my team talked that way to a client or service partner, they'd be lucky if all I did was write them up. Of course, never heard a response. Someone like that either has a laundry list of complaints, but for some reason no one will discipline him, or he learned it from his manager. Not really a happy ending, but at least I could get on with my life. Crystal power is down? I'll be right over, ma'am. I accidentally ended up in the phone book as a computer repair company. I swear this happened. It was around 2007. The company I started had a technology type name. So when I declined repeated attempts at obtaining a Yellow Pages ad, and almost never answering my phone because I was busy kickstarting my business, the crazy marketing people at the local Bell company threw me into the computer repair services category of the published directory. And I was at the top of the list alphabetically. Why me? After a while of ignoring the calls, well, I just went with it. The company I was starting was having funding issues, and was slow to develop, so I just started going on service calls when someone would call me to fix their computer. I just charged a lot, and made it worth my while. So I got a call about Microsoft Outlook corruption, or something really lame like that. Remember Outlook.pst files? Pretty sure it was some kind of software issue on a Windows XP box. I went to the house in a very rural area. Way out in the boondocks. Super slow internet. The lady was older, and not very computer savvy. But I needed to save her PC from corrupted data files, or some such. I think it had a failing, or full 40 gigabytes hard drive, or something that would take a lot of time to fix, but was not a difficult problem. The main issue was that her business was down and I had to get it back up again, even temporarily. Then we got to talking. The lady really needed her computer fixed because there were business transactions at stake. She was selling big-ticket items and the customers needed her to answer questions and ship the items fast. I am not normally one to get distracted from business and let my eyes wander off my task. But this was different. I was apparently inside the lair of one of the most sacred and illustrious sites for crystal power in the whole country. Because my customer would speak some kind of enchanted spell over these crystals that she found, and sell them on eBay for about 100 times their worth as minerals. She pointed around the eerily dim room at her numerous crystals that were given spooky names and explained that each one had been carefully energized by whatever powers she claimed existed in the area. Her house was full of these colorful crystals, some sitting under triangles or hexagons or strange lighting. Maybe she grew them, I don't know. But sure enough, once I fixed the PC, probably a full hard drive, I perused her broken email box. I came across numerous excited emails with questions pertaining to the power or energy of a particular rock that she was selling. I'm talking about crystals in the $100 plus range. She bragged about crystals going for well over $200. Well, I hate to say that I was her enabler. I eventually got her PC running again, installed a new hard drive, charged her an arm and a leg for my time, and went back to screening my calls. No sacred crystals were harmed in the making of this Reddit post. When turning it off and back on does not work. At my workplace, there are some industrial control systems, including relatively new ones, where if they are power cycled, they will reset back to factory default settings. I have joked in the past that a ransomware operator could simply threaten to power cycle the entire facility, e.g. have a compromised server broadcast reboot commands, and that would cause quite a bit of chaos if they did that. I know the backup batteries in those systems are healthy. The issue is that the programmable logic controller programming didn't properly utilize specific memory addresses that are backed by battery power and instead stored important data in the unprotected memory addresses. A recently installed system that was under warranty was randomly throwing alarms and halting. The vendor's technician came over to our site and couldn't determine what was causing the alarms to randomly go off. He suggested power cycling the machine. I told him that every 30 seconds of unscheduled downtime will cost the company several $1,000s. I offered to help him talk to my management to find an available block of time so that we didn't have to worry about an excessive downtime, but he argued it won't take long. I told him to talk to my department manager. He convinced him that the machine would be back up and running in just a few minutes after power cycling it and got the go-ahead. He power cycled it after putting the machine in a safe neutral position. His machine's configs were wiped clean. He asked me if we had a backup of the machine's programming, and I told him management doesn't keep backups of machines that are under warranty because they assumed the vendors would have them. Surely your company has a backup of the machine that they are providing warranty support for? My supervisor came walking over to ask how long it would take for the machine to be up and running again. In the aftermath, the vendor was forced to eat the full cost of the lost production time when my company's legal department ended up joining the email conversation to explain to the vendor of their own warranty policy after the vendor tried to skate away from that mess.